In the spring of 1983, a young Irish quartet was touring behind their third album, War. U2 had built a passionate cult following, but they were approaching a financial and professional cliff. To survive in the industry, they needed a global commercial breakthrough. Their strategy was a massive financial gamble. They pooled nearly all their remaining capital to self-finance a professional, feature-length live concert film, betting that their raw live energy could force a path onto international television screens. For the location, they chose Red Rocks Amphitheater. Sitting at an elevation of nearly 6,500 feet in Colorado, it marks the exact geological threshold where the Great Plains violently push up against the Rocky Mountains. Flanking the stage are two ancient 300-foot sandstone monoliths, Shiprock and Creation Rock. These massive geological formations act as a natural funnel, creating an acoustically perfect environment. U2 staked their entire financial future on this single venue. They believed that if they could capture the primal majesty of this specific location on film, the sheer scale of the rocks would finally match the ambition of their sound. But when filming day arrived on June 5th, the mountain geography turned against them. A severe, freezing rainstorm stalled directly over the amphitheater, battering the jagged red sandstone with relentless sheets of water. The conditions were so dangerous that local promoters warned ticket holders to stay home. Out of a sold-out capacity of over 9,500 people, only 4,400 fans braved the weather to attend. The band was caught in a brutal financial trap. Because they had already spent their limited funds hiring camera crews, massive lighting rigs, and audio engineers, canceling the show meant completely losing that investment. Yet playing the show presented an equally dangerous optical trap. Filming a rock concert in a dark, freezing, half-empty rock quarry would broadcast a visual of complete failure to a global audience. The pristine natural environment they relied on to capture a cinematic masterpiece was actively dismantling their entire stage, threatening to ruin their career before it truly began. Instead of cutting their losses, the band made a desperate choice. They refused to cancel, loaded the cameras with film, and opted to play directly into the storm. To solve the problem of a half-empty venue, the warmth of the backstage area, and walked directly out into the freezing parking lot and the rain-slicked stands. He delivered a clear, urgent instruction to the die-hard fans who had shown up. Ignore the seat assignments printed on your tickets, walk down the steps, and pack tightly against the very front of the stage. This human compression created an area of immense artificial density. By corralling every attendee into the first few dozen rows, the remaining empty thousands of seats faded away into the dark, rainy background. By physically manipulating the layout of their audience, they ensured the camera lenses would only capture a frenzied shoulder-to-shoulder crowd, rescuing the optics of the film from total disaster. This high-stakes tension peaked during the performance of Sunday Bloody Sunday, a track written in response to endless cycles of sectarian violence and military occupation in Northern Ireland. Before playing a note, Bono took the microphone to issue a clear, spoken-word disclaimer, rejecting any partisan politics by announcing, "This song is not a rebel song." The lyrics dive straight into the brutal reality of conflict, painting a landscape of broken bottles under children's feet, bodies strewn across dead-end streets, and families torn apart by military trenches. As the freezing rain poured down, an unplanned synergy took hold. The physical endurance required to strike rain-soaked drums and grip freezing guitar necks perfectly mirrored the desperate emotional endurance pleaded for in the song. The brutal weather effectively stripped away all standard 1980s rock glamour. Hair was plastered to their faces, clothes were soaked through, leaving a performance that was entirely raw and unpolished. The freezing rain and jagged rocks became a physical extension of the lyrics, visually grounding the desperate plea for peace in a setting that felt as brutal as the conflict itself. That raw footage was quickly cut into a live video package titled Under a Blood Red Sky and released to television networks worldwide. In 1983, the music television landscape was dominated by MTV. The standard rotation was filled with highly produced, brightly lit, choreographed studio pop videos. Dropped into that lineup, the broadcast of Sunday Bloody Sunday looked like an entirely different medium. It was gritty, unpolished, and visibly freezing, with massive plumes of white breath escaping the singer's mouth on every lyric. That stark, uncompromising visual reality cut cut directly through the artificial noise of the era, capturing the immediate, undivided attention of a generation looking for authenticity. By broadcasting their near failure, U2 triggered a media explosion that effectively ended their club touring years, vaulting the band onto the world's largest stages. The events of that rainy night also redefined the legacy of Red Rocks Amphitheater itself. While giants had visited before, most notably the Beatles 2 decades prior, the location was largely viewed by the industry as a regional curiosity. It was the heavy global broadcast of this specific rain-soaked U2 performance that unveiled the amphitheater's primal aesthetic to the world. U2's triumph over the elements transformed Red Rocks into America's premier mythical stage, a bucket list destination where the force of nature and live music permanently collide.